you both.
Yes, you
And
too.
congratulations on your decision to run for president and vice president.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
What motivated you to run?
I feel at first we weren't being like super serious, but it kind of started off as a little joke between our RTI class. And then like we actually started like telling people, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea." And we started looking into it more, and it became something that we really wanted to do.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you want to change if you're elected?
We definitely want to have like fun things, but we also have to like make sure like everything's good for everybody in our school and our student body. So we talked to some people, and a lot of people really want to have like a spring and winter dance, like a little formal kind of thing, which would be really cool. And obviously if like the conditions weren't like safe, there'd be extra precautions and stuff. But we also want to like help our bathrooms and stuff because they're kind of out of date, and we need like updates for them. We definitely want to have like students like every month submit like things that they think that our school would be good for our school, so that we can really hear everybody out. And we're really looking at clubs and seeing what they need from us and stuff like that. So that's really all we were doing right now, but that's
Yeah, we really want to fix up our bathrooms. There's doors broken, mirrors shattered.
Oh, and tell me what school that is. Is that Jeff?
Jefferson Middle School.
Junior middle school? Yeah, that's one of the historic buildings, isn't it?
yeah.
And sometimes historic means old.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be a representative of other students and of your peers?
I feel like for me, I always like have this like kind of doubt in myself that I couldn't like lead people. But over like the years, I've been told like I'm really good at it. And every time I do it, it like feels like I'm bringing out a little bit of myself that I was hiding. And it feels like really liberating and very freeing. And I really love helping people in that way. What about you?
For me, I feel like I connect with a lot of people, and I kind of understand what people are saying, and I can talk to all sorts of people about anything.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. For the first, well, I don't know. I'm not sure it ever went away, but every time and I'll tell you a little secret. Every time I have a special parking spot as mayor, and it's as reserved for mayor right at City Hall. And every time I pulled into that, I kind of got this feeling of like, oh my God, can I do this job? And I said, I'm not like, kind of like you, Lyric, like, I'm not sure I can do this, or I'm not sure I'm up to that. And I know a lot of I have a lot of friends that are in elected office, and I'm like, do you ever feel like an imposter? Do you ever feel like you shouldn't be there, or that you're not up to the task? And my good friend said, yes, and the day you stop feeling that is the day you should leave. And so I don't know that that ever goes away. And I just think that comes with the burden of speaking for others. But Lyric, you're so good at that. And you too, Wesley. I love the way you said, I feel like I connect with people because that is really what you are. You're a stand-in. You're the spokesperson for the people you represent. And that comes with a lot of pressure and obligation and burden, but it also requires you to be very confident in what you say and how you say it, because your words matter and people listen to you as a voice for your peers.
Yeah. Thank you. That makes me feel better because
It's totally natural, and it may never go away, and that's okay.
Yeah.
When is the election?
It's next year, but since we're like starting early, I guess it's just like we want to really get that head start because we don't want to be like rushing into it.
Uh-huh.
So I guess we've got like that head start. We have other people also running too, so it's kind of like it's already kind of started, but yeah, it's next year, I think, like a month.
No, like 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
Like I guess it's really soon after we get back. So
Okay. And that will be for your 8th grade class.
mhm.
Is that right? Great. So you have to campaign all summer.
Yeah.
Are you going to go door to door?
I don't know about door to door, but we definitely have like social media platforms that we're posting on and making sure like they're updated and stuff.
Nice, nice. What questions do you have for me?
Okay, so our first question is, what's it like being a leader of like such a big community with like so many different like views and like opinions?
Yeah, it's hard trying to balance that. And I'll use the pandemic kind of as an example. You know, I said back then that we were going to follow the data and the science and not public opinion or political pressure. And I think a good leader has to, be able to keep their eye on the ball and, not just go with what the last person who told you was, right? Or what the teachers think you should be doing. You need to have that moral compass inside of you that I have a vision for what I want our community to be like, what I want my school to be like, how I want my school, or in this case, your school is your community, how I want it to be different or better. And not everyone is going to agree with you, but what you need to do is try to build a majority and hopefully a super majority of support. Sometimes, and that reaching. Do you know what consensus is? Consensus is when you get everybody generally agreeing with each other. That doesn't mean sacrificing your values or your ethics. It means helping bring others along. And sometimes, there's a risk of leading faster than someone else can follow. And sometimes you have to divide up. Are you going to get everything done in the first week? Are you going to get brand new bathrooms and plan that formal and do all that? No, it's going to take time to do those things. And that gives you the opportunity to bring others along with you, to say, we should really have more pride in our school building. Our bathrooms aren't accessible to someone in a wheelchair. Maybe we need a gender neutral bathroom. And that's something that wasn't thought of when Jeff Jr. was built in 1927 or whenever it was, right? And you're not going to, if people say that's a great idea, I'm with you, that's great. And you can do that and then use that momentum to do the next thing that's hardest to do. But that's kind of my ethos on being mayor. And Columbia's we're not the biggest city in the state, but we're not the smallest either. And in some ways we're a bit of an incubator for new ideas. And so being able to test those ideas in a small way, and if they work, then you can scale them up and do something bigger with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So our second question is, what's the best way to make a good impression as a leader?
I don't know. I mean, sometimes it's listening more than you talk. And for me, it's being able to understand, your hometown, where you're from, who are your loved ones, what do you care about, why did you move to Columbia, what do you love about our community, where do you celebrate? When I go door to door, I talk, my bubble is, we live within walking distance of campus. We go downtown to celebrate our wedding anniversary, and I work at City Hall. But for a lot of people, they have a different view of Columbia. They like going to the mall, or they go to, a restaurant way down on the south. They have different walks of life, and I have to understand, their experiences so that I could be a better leader, because I, just like you want to be, am kind of their voice, their representative. And should we spend all of our money in a certain part of town? No. Should we try to benefit the greatest number of people? Yeah. And so does that answer your question, Wesley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so our next question is, what do you believe like makes a good leader?
Hmm. I really think having a vision um, for what for how we can be better, right? And if we're not growing, if we're not adapting and addressing to new changes, we're standing still. And it's kind of like being on a treadmill. If you're standing still on a treadmill, what happens? You fall backwards, right? You roll backwards. So you have to keep moving forward, even though you're not, doesn't feel like you're getting anywhere sometimes. And so having that vision, but it's not enough to have the vision if you can't articulate that to the public and get them to buy into this shared view, these shared values that we have. And sometimes, you know, if you asked 100 people, they're all going to have 100 different ideas, but maybe we all come together on a handful of issues that we agree on. But I also think later lyric, sometimes we have to raise our eyes up a little bit and say, you know, should we spend all of the city resources um, on the homeless? Should we spend it all on businesses? Or should we have, and here's where you raise your eyes up, or should we have an economy that works for everybody? And, oh yeah, I think we should, you know, if I ask someone, do you think we should spend 100% of our money subsidizing small businesses? No. Do you think we should spend 100% of our money serving the homeless and the unsheltered? No. Not everyone would agree with that. Some would agree with both. But when I say, should we have an economy that works for everybody? Yeah, absolutely. Should everybody have an opportunity to succeed in our community? Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's part of how you bring people together over a shared value that ultimately makes our community better.
Thank you.
So, our fourth question kind of goes off of first. It's, what are the challenges of being a leader of such a diverse and large population?
um, you know, it's interesting, and it is exactly that, Wesley. It's a challenge because um, there are people that think I should be doing more and people who think I should be doing less, and that's where you have to rely on your own inner strength, if you will, to know these. I need to be fair. I need to be consistent. I need to make sure that even if people disagree with my decision, that they know the process was open, that it was fair for everybody, that everybody got to express their opinion, and we looked at the facts and what we could afford to do, and we made the best decision with the best information that we had at the time. It's not to say that we we didn't call that one right, and we have to try it a little bit differently this time. I'm trying to think of what else. What are the other challenges of but I think the other issues, if you think about one of my typical city council meetings, and you've got people on both sides saying, on both sides of the issue, I think the best thing that we can do is let them know that the process is fair, that everybody had a chance to weigh in and express their opinion, and then I don't get to wave a magic wand and make the decision. I have 6 other people on city council, just like Lyric is going to have Wesley, and do you have like a student council too that goes with it? Yeah. So you're going to have to get a majority of them to agree, and that's hard to do. A lot of times it requires a lot of diplomacy. Do you know what a diplomat is? A diplomat is like the president's envoy to a different country, and sometimes that person just has to talk to a lot of people. If I can get you to do this, are you okay with this? Or here's what I think we should do. What do you think? Getting other people's advice so that the decision reflects hopefully a majority of opinion.
Yeah, thank you for that. That was really helpful. So, I feel like we'll use that definitely.
Mhm.
Um, okay. Our next question is, how has like being mayor like affected your beyond leadership? So like if it's changed at all, has it changed much?
Yeah, it's changed a lot. And it's not so much about leadership. I think I've always been a good leader. I think I've been tested in ways that I didn't expect. And that is when, Wesley, when I said, sometimes you have to work with a bunch of people to get them to agree. Sometimes I only got half of them to agree with me. And on those issues where I was the decision maker, where my vote made the difference of whether something passed or not, I really sat up there, Lyric, behind the dais, and I didn't wring my hands, but it did occur to me, who is helped by this? Who is hurt by this decision? What is the most fair decision? What is the best public policy? Meaning, if we applied this to a different set of facts or a different issue, would we have reached the same conclusion? And so I think it's probably made me a little more empathetic, meaning understanding what it's like to be on that side of the podium. And for those that maybe everything from I want to annex my house so I can access safe drinking water and safe sewer connections to I've been waiting 17 years for my sewer to be improved, and I've been paying higher rates for it this whole time. I have to look at, gosh, what is our policy going to be? Should we take care of what we have before we expand and do more, or can we do both? And so it's probably made me a little more thoughtful and empathetic to those decisions. And I think there are decisions, Lyric, that look good on paper, but when you think about its impact on people, it doesn't look so great anymore. And I think when you'll find this too, if you are just reading the minutes of a meeting or reading a newspaper article about an issue, you might have one decision, but until you actually meet someone and talk to them about how that decision's impacting them, you really don't know how it gets implemented. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So one of our last couple questions is, what is the typical day in the life of a mayor?
I won't give you my best day or my worst day, but a typical Monday for me is I go on the radio at 8:30 and do a 30-minute interview with used to be David Lyle on KFRU about that evening's council meeting. I might go have a constituent meeting at 9 o'clock over a cup of coffee. I might do a resolution or a proclamation. I might have a Zoom call like this with a group. I may meet with people over the lunch hour. At 2 o'clock, I have a meeting with two of my city council members, the mayor pro tem and one other. At 3 o'clock, I meet with the city clerk. At 4 o'clock, I meet with the city manager. At 5 o'clock, we have a pre-council meeting about some big issue like trash collection or renewable energy or climate change. At 6 o'clock, we have a pre-council meeting with the entire city council. And then at 7 o'clock, we have a council meeting that goes until midnight. And then the next morning I come in and I have to sign all the bills and resolutions that we passed the night before. Every blueprint that we approved for development gets my signature on it, which is really cool because you all are in a historic building. All of those plats and blueprints that I've signed in the last 6 years all get recorded at the county. And 100 years from now, someone's going to go look at a new housing development and pull those plans, and my signature is going to be on it long after I'm gone, which I think the opportunity to literally put your stamp on a decision is really cool. And for you guys to to step up and want to do this. Long after you graduate high school and college and you drive by Jefferson Middle School, you're going to look, or junior high, you're going to look at that building and say, I was a leader there.
Okay, so our last question is, what advice would you give future leaders?
You know, a couple things, and I've mentioned some of them already. Be fair, be consistent, listen more than you talk, don't lead faster than others can follow. And I'll tell you what one former elected told me. She said, sometimes there aren't just two sides to a story. Sometimes there are 5 sides to a story. And it'd be like if someone came up to you in the hallway and said, so-and-so pushed me. Well, I'm going to put a stop to that. And you go find that person. Did you push him? I pushed him, but he tripped me first. And well, is that true? Did you trip him? Yeah, I may have tripped him. And I said, did you push him in retaliation? No, I was trying to catch myself from falling after he tripped me. And then you go talk to someone else that watched the whole thing, and you realize, no, maybe the janitor left soap on the floor and it caused someone to trip. And then, you know what I mean? You just never know until you start pulling those threads, you know, that there's always not just 2 sides to the story. Sometimes there's what he said, what she said, what someone saw, and then what really happened. And so part of that kind of, and I'll probably leave you with this, I used to assume the worst. When people would call and say, I got pulled over, or I got a parking ticket, or my trash didn't get picked up, and you know, your instinct is just to assume the worst. But what I have discovered is when you expect the best, you usually get it. And when you have high expectations, sometimes I have high expectations for myself. I want everything to be perfect. I want what I say to be just right. I want my votes to be perfect. You know, and that's a lot of pressure on myself. I find that when I have high expectations for others, they usually rise to meet them. And that's kind of why I know that I'm held to a higher standard than others, why I have to conduct myself ethically and appropriately, and to always be positive in my speech, in my remarks, right? Not negative, not run others down. And when I do that, people respond enthusiastically. They want to be better. They want our community to be better. They use nice language. They use kinder language than what we could. So I would just tell you both to be role models, to be leaders that you already are. Lyric, there's a reason people look to you as their voice, because you have a strong voice, right? And Wesley, there's a reason why you connect well with each other, because you're easy to talk to, you know, because you get along well with others, and you're able to absorb all that and be better people and better leaders because of it.
Thank you for your time. Yes.
You're welcome. I can't wait to see what you do. Will you stay in touch with me and let me know how it's going?
Yeah,
For sure, yes.
Great. And then I'll give you a couple campaign advice if you want it.
Yes.
You might think about, like, what is your message? Why are you running? And that was the thing that I struggled with when I did, you know, and I wouldn't say it was a joke, Lyric, that I wanted to run for mayor, but I hadn't planned to run for mayor. I probably would have run 6 years ago. I probably would have run 10 years from then, right? When I was a little bit older, when I had more time. But kind of like you, man, if you wait 10 years, it'll be too late, right? You'll be in college. I didn't think there'd be that we would have anything left to fight over if I waited. And so people started calling me and asking me to run. And it was that, whether it's a reporter asking me or when I was knocking on doors, they may not say it exactly this way, but what they really mean is, why are you running? What do you want to do differently? And that's your message. You know, you want your school to be the best it can be. And here's how we're going to do that. We're going to be better friends and better colleagues, and we're going to celebrate each other's We're going to celebrate each other's accomplishments, and let's do it at a dance, at a social, that's safe. Instead of us being out or being cliques or just being with our own group of friends, let's all be together in our school in a safe place, right? Let's make sure that our school works for everybody, that everybody has a chance, regardless of their ability or how they identify themselves, to use the restroom, something that we all do. And I use that same thing. For most people, paying their utility bill is the only interaction with government that everybody will have. We have to get that right, because if no one has a good experience paying their utility bill, they're not going to trust us to do other things. And it's kind of like using the bathroom. Lyric, it's just like everybody has to do it. Everybody ought to have a good bathroom to use. Because if you don't enjoy that, you might not enjoy the rest of school, right? And so just think about how you make your ideas relevant to everybody, and go out and do it. Okay?
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm so proud of both of you.
Thank you. We are so glad we got to meet with you today.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Stay in touch and let me know how things are going, okay?
For sure, yes.
Have a nice
Okay.
rest of your day.
You too. Bye, guys.